Beautiful Saturday morning. It's crisp, cool air. Riding with the 911. Probably gonna give it a nice wash. I'm testing out the DJI Pocket 2. You know, maybe start talking to this thing and talking about them world events that we're talking about on CNN, Fox News, and whatever. But yo, check it out. You know, rest in peace to those people, 22,000 plus people who lost their lives. You know, some real tragedy there, and I hope that they go straight to heaven. Love them all. Yeah, it's too cold outside, so you know, so many things happening in the world, and I think what I want to say is just be grateful, have mindfulness, you know, don't squander any opportunity. You live once, you know, you get to breathe the fresh air. You might be in a sunny area, warm, hot climate, or cold country, doesn't matter. You know, you might be struggling, you may not be. Make every day count. Make every minute blessed more than it is. Never take any breath for granted. You know, that's where I'm coming from this morning. And just finished at the gym, so I'm feeling good. You know, got to get that blood pumping and keep moving, right? That's the key to life. Keep moving, you know, along with the ideas. You're pushing forward with your goals, agendas, you know, and patience and remaining calm in situations, right? Nothing happens overnight, so that's where patience comes in, and calmness and breathing. I was inspired by someone with those mottos, and I wanted to share that, right? Because I believe those three culminate to a great force, and it's just amazing. So we're seeing a lot of different events occur in the world. You know, a lot of changes since the pandemic, and I'm trying to think back about. I wasn't even existent back then, but the last pandemic, literally, that hit the earth. What were people's thoughts, feelings, you know, when such a thing happened? And you know, in this pandemic, we had the technology communication piece, so we can pick up a phone, Zoom somebody, you know, hey, hi auntie, hi uncle, family, whatever, you know, and check up on them. And still I find that it was a very difficult thing to go through, right? And I think what I didn't hear about in the last pandemic, I didn't really hear much about a financial crisis and bailouts and this and that. I don't know, maybe you guys might let me know, but I didn't really hear about that. There was obviously some financial drawbacks, but the scale at which we see present in today's world, where governments had no choice but to, how do you stabilize what you've built on a indebted society, right? So like the debt level was very high before, because that's what it was, and now that's gone, it's increased exponentially, right, in the last couple of years. So that is an issue that we are contending with. And we're seeing that fiat currencies, Lebanon, Venezuela, like all those have failed in the past. And right now, obviously, the US dollar, within the last 6 months, it strengthened due to the high interest rates, right? And what happens there, I think everybody may understand that it has a breaking point where you have to increase the thought process is, let's increase the interest rates exponentially and wait till something breaks, right? And then start to pull back a bit, right? So it's a very interesting and delicate subject, and you have many different government institutions, resources that are working on this agenda to increase the interest rates so that they can lower the inflation, get it back to the 2% that in which it was, in which it were, whatever, tired from the gym. But anyways, my focus here is there are different power struggles within I would say the U.S. government, on many different things, but especially on the future of Bitcoin. So there was a crypto report, framework report that was released, and in that report recently, it was like, oh, you know what, let's not have the banks fully endorse this Bitcoin, right? We don't want that. So it's like, that's a drawback. But yet in Spain, MasterCard is offering Bitcoin rewards, and I did touch on that subject and speak on that subject last year, about a year ago, in January-ish, and actually December 2021, and I remember saying, hey, you know what, soon MasterCard is going to offer Bitcoin rewards. Now, what does that mean? Right now, it's only available in Spain, right? And as I mentioned, that the government, the number one government in the world, the strongest power in the world is the U.S., and they're right now contending and debacling how to introduce this. So on the state level, you have certain things that are legal, but on the federal level, that takes a lot more energy and to say, hey, we're all the banks, which is a lot of banks. It's not like in Canada where you have 5 big banks and that's it. Pack your bags, go home. Okay, in America there's like over 250 banks, easily, right? Small banks, tiny banks, banks with probably one person working it. Like it's just a bank, right? But I don't know, to mandate everyone and to allow them to process Bitcoin or store Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin for their clients, that's a debacle that's being had right now. And I believe obviously in the next 5 years, the world's landscape will look a lot different, right? I'm looking at these buildings. These are office buildings, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what's the purpose of this? To conduct work. Then the pandemic happened, and everybody's like home. I think life changed. We're more digitalized now than we have ever been, and that's not something that's going to disappear, right? So the World Economic Forum has indicated and alluded to that there will be some sort of major cybersecurity attack. We are so dependent. All these lights over here are controlled by electronics, right? They're by a integrated computer system. And if you tap into that, like that thing can wreak havoc, right? If it were to be hacked. But the World Economic Forum is bringing it to light, giving the guidance that this is something to pay keen focus on, right? Because we are vulnerable in that sense, right? I forgot. Oh, SCADA. That's the network. So the utility, like aviation, utility companies that controls the lights, etc., they're all running on a different network. They're not running off the same network that you and I traverse on for watching Netflix and stuff like that. They actually have a different network. It's called the SCADA network, and that's a very rigid and tough network to even get into, right? But as even those networks evolve, obviously they will have more IoT devices connecting into the SCADA network. Once you introduce that, that's like having a device that, for example, a drone. If I worked for the city and I had to fly a drone and collect data and store that somewhere, it'll be on the different network. So, things like that, right? Now, drones, IoT devices, and we have, pretty much a war going on right now. The U.S. and the allies, NATO allies, are have been sending Ukraine military aircrafts, artillery, or whatever, over the past year. Now, this is a war that I thought that was going to be 3 weeks old. 3 weeks, and that's it, right? However, it's turned out to be over a year long, right? And that's a problem. So, in saying that, there's more to come, right? There's probably retaliation efforts that the World Economic Forum is coming in saying, hey, this is something that we should take seriously. All institutions, all organizations have to abide by certain frameworks. We're all businesses that are operational right now should be very concerned and worried about what if they are cyber breached, right? So myself being involved in that field for an extensive amount of time, with the advent of AI and everything like that, and the tools that are newly available, it should be okay, or at least that was the trajectory. But now it's like more and more. So we really have to upskill ourselves and understand about this, the gravity of this situation. Even though we do have AI tools, we do need knowledgeable humans behind the helm to help articulate and visualize certain things, even in an AI-driven era. So that's all. As for Bitcoin, we did have a short-term pump, and this is a very volatile market. So not by any means that we're out of the woods yet. January was a 40% up from the low. February would see some skirting around, probably the 20%, and there's a death cross coming up soon, from what I hear. A lot of people have different inputs: golden cross, death cross. Golden cross is bullish, death cross is like, hey, you know what, we're gonna have some capitulation. But before this 40% pump occurred, I was already told that my sources revealed that this is just a fake out, and it could last a few weeks, it could last a couple of months. But the macroeconomic market is not in a good place right now, because Bitcoin is a very liquid supply, and you can put money in it tomorrow, withdraw it tomorrow or tonight. It's a 724 market, so it's very volatile, don't get me wrong. Over the course of a long run, we do forecast that as fiat money collapse around the globe and it's just unlimited printing, then Bitcoin is deflationary, where the halving for Bitcoin is almost 1 year away. And that means that there should be some hype at least early next year, like a year from now. Bitcoin should be at a much higher price in anticipation of that halving. And then also post halving, about a few months later, there's when the supply shock really kicks in. You're gonna have to work double hard just to get that Bitcoin. That's what that halving is. Those who know. Those who don't know, I hope they will be informed. So that's the thing, right? Ethereum could be the next thing that institutions really adopt. Michael Saylor has come out and said, hey, you know what, I should have bought Ethereum. They threw a lot of money at Bitcoin, and they suffered a lot because they bought Bitcoin at the high, with the hype. You have to look at the cycles. We all have to be knowledgeable about these cycles if we're going to put a decent amount of savings in it. Anyways, 15-minute video. Happy Saturday. May God bless the people that lost their lives. There's some great people. One guy on TikTok, he was from Turkey, and a famous guy. He kept dancing and doing the belly moves, and such an adorable character. Someone pointed it out to me yesterday, and I was like, wow, like you could see he's smiling, having fun. I guess he got famous on TikTok. And that's the thing, what that left me with is just, you gotta smile. Smile through everything. Have fun. Love. Live. Laugh. And be kind, right? For our time is limited on earth. Love y'all.